What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ready, Set, Recap, where we recap what's been going on. I'm Daniel, joined as always by my best friend, Skyler.
What's going on, everybody? Happy to be here.
This week, in the news, we've got some strange news for the next Fast and Furious movie. James Gunn is teasing some things during his Superman interviews. Sasha Baron Cohen has officially revealed what character he is in the MCU. The Switch is getting a price increase. Helldivers is coming to Xbox, and Xbox laid off some people. But before we talk about all of that, Skyler, what's been going on with you this week?
Well, I saw a movie this week. I saw F1, the Formula One movie,
Right.
and it was good. It was very good. I liked it. I guess, I just like dad movies. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like people throw the term dad movie around like derogatorily, but I I like them. I loved Top Gun Maverick. This was the same director. This isn't as good as Top Gun Maverick, but it's still pretty good. And I also happened to binge watch some television series this week.
Ooh.
I watched the new season of Squid Game, which was okay, and I watched the new season of The Bear, which was very good.
Good. Wait,
Um,
isn't the new season of Squid Game supposed to be like the last season of Squid Game?
Yeah, well, yeah. So there's a whole thing about how the creator of Squid Game didn't want to do more than one season, but then they offered him a bunch of money, and he was like, "All right." So then they did season two, and then he was like, "Okay, season two is the last thing I'm gonna do with this." And then they were like, "Oh, well, can we split it in half and do it 2 seasons?" And he was like, "I don't care." Something along those lines. So season two was last year, season three was this year. It had a lot of the good stuff that Squid Game does. It also had some questionable technical decisions, which I won't get into. Yeah, I think people are mad about the ending because it's an ending, but I think character-wise, it works. More importantly, it very much ends with like I feel like it was Netflix looking at the camera, being like, "Hey, we can do more with this series, and we probably will, even without the original creator." So
Well, I guess without spoilers, does it end in a way where, like, it would be a spin-off with different characters? Or, like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
so it wouldn't
it end
necessarily be, like,
it
season
it
4 or whatever.
ends it ends in a way implying, and I guess this is light spoilers, so uh skip past the next 10 seconds if you don't want to know. It ends in a way that implies that we could be seeing more Squid Games in different countries.
Oh, okay. And one of them is hosted by Mr. Beast.
Well, yeah, I guess so, wouldn't it? But no, more importantly, I watched The Bear season 4, and goddamn, I love that show.
It's pretty good. I hear it's
It's really
good.
good. They also confirmed that season 5 is coming, I believe, next year. So that's rad.
Well, this week I didn't really do a ton, I guess. I mostly like in preparation for Y'all In for AEW All In Texas.
Oh yes.
I've been trying to get caught up on AEW wrestling stuff, so I've been going back and watching like at least the Dynamites.
Mhm.
And I've gotten caught up for the most part. I think I'm still like 2 weeks behind. The last one that I watched was Grand Slam Mexico,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
which I think was like 2 weeks ago, maybe three. And also a really good show. Grand Slam Mexico really came out of nowhere. I didn't really know that it was happening, and it wasn't like a
Yeah.
proper pay-per-view. Like I didn't have to pay to watch it. It was just basically an episode of Dynamite.
Mhm.
But some really good stuff. Like I am not familiar with a lot of the luchadors that were on it, like
Right.
Atlantis and Atlantis Junior and Hechicero and
Sure.
Templario and all these guys. But they were all really impressive. Like it was surprisingly good. And also Hangman can speak like almost fluent Spanish, it turns out. He came
Yeah,
out at the top of the show and
I
just
did.
like had a whole promo that people apparently really loved.
I did see that, and yeah, apparently, after that happened, CMLL was like, "Oh, we need this guy down in Mexico for a bit."
We would like for him to show up again, actually, please and
Yeah.
thank you.
It's funny because my first thought was Hangman, kind of famously before being a wrestler, used to like be a high school teacher. And I was like, God damn, did he teach Spanish?
What did he teach? I'm curious.
No idea.
I'm gonna assume what? No, his Spanish probably wasn't good enough to be a teacher, so probably not Spanish. Oh,
He seems like he would be either an English or a history teacher.
yeah,
I don't think he taught maths.
no. Cowboys don't do math. That's known.
No. No,
That's
we no.
that's why they had to teach horses how to count because cowboys couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and then I also
That's
because
a good bit. I'm gonna give you credit for that. It's a
thank you,
good bit. Just
thank you.
then.
Also because so we're recording this on the 4th of July. Happy Independence for those who
We
celebrate.
are. Yeah. Congratulations to Joey Chestnut for eating a disgusting amount of hot dogs yet again.
Didn't he like come out of retirement to eat more hot dogs?
All right, let's talk about this.
Yeah, okay.
First of all, I should really stress I do not follow competitive eating.
No, just your
So
hero, Joey Chestnut.
I don't
And
I
well,
watched
you did follow Nikocado Avocado for a while, so that's
that's
not
different and you know
it's
it.
not competitive eating, but it's definitely eating.
That was passive aggressive eating. Um okay. So Joey Chestnut is like the reigning defending undisputed food eating man of the last 15 years, something like that. He does a
Sure.
lot. I looked at his Wikipedia page and it's like you know he eats hot dogs every year, but goddamn the amount of world records. Like he ate 32 Big Macs in like 30 minutes.
Dear God.
Disgusting. So yeah, and then I watched I normally don't really pay attention or care or what I did put on the hot dog contest this morning and I watched it and it it made me ill. So like I felt really nauseous watching it. It's not a pretty sight
No, I
for
wouldn't
those,
imagine it is.
you know. But yeah, so last year he was not part of the annual Nathan's hot dog eating contest at Coney Island because of, and I kid you not, a sponsoring issue with like between him and the what's it called? It's like the National Competitive Food Eating Competition Alliance thing, whatever it's called,
Okay.
the championship thing. They were like, "We don't like your sponsor," something. I don't know. He was basically uninvited from the event. So he instead of going, he basically held his own live stream event where he just ate hot dogs and he ate more hot dogs than the guy who won the Nathan's thing, which takes 10 minutes. Their competition is 10 minutes. He ate more than him in 5 minutes last year. So he really clowned on whoever the guy that won.
He just
Uh,
wanted to prove that he wasn't
yeah,
done.
basically. And so he was invited back this year. They cleared up whatever issues they had, and he ran that paper champion out of town. He's the champion once again. Which they have a championship belt, which they call like the mustard belt or something because it's yellow. It's a yellow strap.
Sure.
And then the women have a red one, but I don't know if they call that the ketchup belt.
They should. If they don't, it's cowardice.
So yeah, that's more than we needed to talk about Joey Chestnut today. But
Yeah,
there
well,
it
yeah,
is. Happy 4th of July.
we didn't need to talk about Joey Chestnut at all, if I'm being honest. But yeah, okay. So because it was the 4th of July, I went down to our our local shopping center where
Mm.
they do the fireworks show because they do it on the 3rd.
Yeah, I
Uh,
did notice that driving around yesterday.
yeah. Well, they've done it the 3rd. I think basically since I've lived here.
Yeah, which I think is really weird this year in particular because the 4th falls on a Friday. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's weird
well,
this week for sure.
just just do I mean, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, so went down, watched the fireworks show, walked around. They had like a whole event set up. There was like a bunch of food and there was like some live music. It was a ton of fun.
Oh.
There was surprisingly few people out there like celebrating it as like, oh my God, America's the best because of, I mean, we live in Texas, so I assumed that there was going to be like a lot of like, yeehaw, red country
Yeah.
or something. It
Yeah,
really
that
wasn't anything
happens
like
here.
that. It was just people hanging out and eating food. There were a couple people in red hats, but I only saw two, which considering how many people were there was honestly surprising.
I'm shocked there wasn't a booth set up like selling the red hats because we
Uh
get those on street corners around
we
here.
do get that. I didn't see any, but maybe who's to say?
Yeah.
But it was great. It was a great time. We were a little further away from the fireworks than I would have liked, but it was still great. I like to be, close enough that when they go off, you can kind of like feel the shockwave a little bit, like you
Feeling
feel
in
it
your
in your
chest.
chest.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I like getting that, and I like the like smell of the gunpowder in the air. We were far enough away that we didn't really get that pretty much at all, but it was still a really good. We were watching from the Trader Joe's parking lot for those who
Okay.
know the area.
Very few, I imagine.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and also a good way to put in like, hey, we're recording this on the night of the 4th, so if you hear fireworks in the background, that's why. Uh,
Yeah, we gotta get through this before drunk neighbors just start lighting things on fire in their front yards.
yeah, there's already been a few here today, so I wouldn't be surprised if they don't start literally any second now.
Yep.
But Skyler, speaking of the most American thing I can think of,
Oh,
did
Fast and Furious?
did you hear that Paul Walker's character is coming back for Fast and Furious 10 to Fast X 2? Is that what the last one's called?
I think so. Yeah.
So
Uh,
he famously, his character drove off into the sunset, and then for the last couple
mhm.
movies was just mentioned as being like, oh, he's just off camera, he's over there with the kids. Because
He's
the actor,
yeah,
of course,
he's
died in a car accident.
yes.
But now he's back. Do you know anything else about this other than I assume it's being played by his brother, although I haven't seen confirmation of this.
Yeah. So he died during filming of the seventh movie, and then to finish off his role, they had his brother play his double, and then they obviously did CGI. They like, face copy stuff. Which for the most part looks okay. There's that one shot of him like looking very lovingly at Vin Diesel as they ride down the road and then down the separate paths.
Hmm.
Yeah, so what this is, him coming back, him coming back, his character coming back, it is desperation. Vin Diesel is basically, and the production company, I guess,
Right.
they're scrambling because ain't nobody care anymore. No one cares. I don't believe Fast X did very well. Let me see here.
Was that the Jason Momoa one?
It was. Yeah, wait. Okay, I think it did okay. It made its money back,
Yeah, I
but
would be surprised if any
it
of them
wasn't
didn't.
it wasn't reviewed great or something. I remember there being issue. There was a point where like Vin Diesel like in an interview tried to throw Jason Momoa under the bus. Like he was like, "Yeah,
Right.
people don't like his character, I guess." And everyone's like,
Well,
"What?"
I
And
heard,
Jason Momoa's like, "What?"
yeah, I heard that he had said that. The assumption was that he had said that because people liked his character, like Jason Momoa's character, more than Vin Diesel's character, and so he was
Yeah,
like getting butthurt about it in the way that he's been known to do.
Vin's weird.
Yeah.
He's a weird guy. But
Is
yeah,
it
I think this is there was talk after Fast X came out, which very much ends on a big old "is everybody gonna die" cliffhanger type deal.
mhm,
There was talk of we're just done,
with Fast
like
and
we might
Furious?
just not continue. But then they managed to bring The Rock back for cameo in Fast X, and that's gonna like allegedly lead to another Rock spinoff that nobody wants, but it's The Rock with Jason Momoa's character.
Yeah.
Because originally Vin Diesel was like, "Oh yeah, the Fast X is the final, but it's also like it's the first of a trilogy of the finale." Everyone's like, "What?"
What does that even mean, Ben?
Yeah, it means he's just trying to like stretch it out. And then I think, if I remember correctly, after Fast X might be like we're done, he was like, "Please, please, just let me do one more." And they were like, "Okay."
Is it weird to bring this very dead actor's face back into this movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're doing it.
If
Like
it
we've
if it is still his brother's body, then like maybe that's less weird because like clearly the family is okay with it to some extent. But it's still weird, right?
I'm not under any assumption that he'll be like a major character.
Oh god
Like I
no.
think he'll just show up at at one point and have one conversation, and then they'll use the AI Darth Vader voice with him to make him talk.
Make AI Darth Vader come in and start talking about Skibbity Toilet or whatever the hell happened in
Yeah,
Fortnite.
yeah.
Yeah.
They make a CGI Paul Walker talk about Skibidi.
My
That's great.
assumption would be that he's gonna come like walking in with the kids at the end, and it'll be like
Yeah,
he'll just be like at the cookout, you know,
yeah.
because we always end
I
on one of those,
I
right?
think that's a safe bet, and we're probably gonna end at a cookout with everybody on big curtain call.
I'm gonna call it
I mean
now.
that's how every movie ends, but
I think it's not a cookout like in the backyard like it has been most of the time. I think now it's a block party. It's a whole block party. We rented out
oh,
a cul-de-sac.
and every character that has died is back.
Yeah. I think most of the ones who have died have canonically already come back.
Yeah, most except for that
So
guy, the guy that was in the first one that died in Fast Five. I think it was five.
I don't know the
Don't remember
continuity
his
like
name.
that.
I listen. I don't know it enough to know their names, but I remember.
Right.
And there was that skinny kid that died in the first one. We'll bring him back.
He'll be up in the clouds with Lincoln and the alligator.
Yes. Hi, happy.
Ah, Abby.
That's great. That's fantastic. I mean, it's depressing, but sure, let's do it.
I think it's okay if the family's okay with it. Like I'm okay with it, but
That's
it is still weird.
yeah,
Yeah, that's where I'm
yeah.
at. But hey, we got some other interesting news, although basically all rumors at this point. James Gunn, they had this big event for Superman over the
Mhm,
course of this week where a bunch of
mhm,
creators and such were flown out. They watched the movie in a special screening that they're not allowed to talk about yet, and
mhm.
were able to interview all the people and do all this stuff, right? The it's a relatively normal thing, although apparently they went like really hard on this. They like built a set for the Fortress of Solitude in the Daily Planet that people could like
Right.
go in and take pictures in and like hang out. And they did the interviews like in some of those rooms, so that's kind of neat. But there's been some interesting little tidbits that have come out of these interviews, mostly the ones with James Gunn, because for some reason when they're interviewing the actors, a lot of the time it's just like, "Do you like Superman? What's Lois Lane's
Uh,
favorite food?"
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
understand why people are asking those kind of questions. Like it matters.
I mean, I guess they save the crazy curveball questions for the creatives,
Yeah, but
not just
like
the day
I don't know,
players. I
man.
don't know.
Take notes from the guy who does the Hot Ones interviews. He does great. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
Sean Evans from First We Feast. Yeah,
He
shout out.
he's
He does good
a
questions.
really good interviewer. Most of these, I mean, granted, most of these people aren't like technically interviewers. They're just content creators who got flown out. But still,
Yeah, that's how it works.
so here are a couple of things that got brought up. Somebody was interviewing him and brought up the Wonder Woman situation. How we know that there's a script being worked on, but it hasn't been like officially announced or anything. And this like there's the Paradise Lost TV show that's apparently also in the works, but that's supposed to be like a prequel that may or may not include Diana.
Mhm.
Not important. Somebody brought up Nubia, who is the her continuity is kind of back and forth a lot of the time, but mostly she's just like a huge badass from Themyscira. She's like, if you know the quote unquote the Black Wonder Woman, which is not exactly true, then that is her. She is like protects she her job typically is that she guards like the gate to hell, and then
Right.
usually at some point also becomes like the queen of Themyscira when Diana's away and after Hippolyta dies. So someone was asking James Gunn about Nubia, and he was very much like, "Oh yeah, that's 100% something that we want to do, and I think people are going to be like excited to see what we do with her." And like, so he has basically confirmed that they are going to do something with Nubia in the semi near future, you know, the nebulous
If
near future.
quote unquote eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of exciting. I only recently started reading like a lot of Wonder Woman comics, and she's definitely like a major player in a lot of them.
Sure.
So it's cool to know that they are actually doing that, because that was one of my things with the Wonder Woman movies that we have gotten, is that they really don't play with the lore of Wonder Woman
Mhm,
herself like basically at all.
mhm.
They're just like, oh, she's a strong lady, and now she's over here, not on Themyscira, and not hanging out with
Right.
any
Yeah.
other Amazonians.
I think the James Gunn is putting a priority on like across the board for the characters we're doing of building their, their side characters, their families. and I think Wonder Woman desperately needs that.
Yeah. Did I ever show you my pitch for a Wonder Woman movie? I wrote it like years ago.
I think so. I think you showed me that.
Maybe I should do that on the channel at some point. Make that
Yeah.
into content.
Yeah. We need content.
We need content, baby. Some of the other things that have been drawn out from these interviews is someone was asking him when the next time we would see Superman again is. And he sort of was like, oh, a couple of years. Wait, you mean the character? Like, so he was saying, so the people have basically taken it to mean like the next Superman movie will be in a couple of years, but we'll see the character again probably pretty soon. Because he was saying that like basically one of the projects that was already being filmed that Superman appears in it, and people are like, yeah, it's probably Supergirl,
Yeah.
but it may
Makes
also
sense.
be even just like Peacemaker.
Yeah. He
Who
could
knows?
show up.
I mean, Superman was technically in the end of the first Peacemaker, so why not?
Well, yeah. His little digital ghost was played by Paul Walker. So
Oh, the ghost of Paul Walker.
yeah.
Um, and then one of the other bigger things that came out was Hector from Nerdist. I don't know if you know him. Uh,
I
he
I know Nerdist.
he was asking. He also has a podcast called I think it's Heroes Reforged. I think. Anyway, he was asking them, specifically James Gunn, about like what the overarching story was going to be, and James Gunn was saying basically that people would have a much better idea of what the overarching story of like chapter one, the like gods and monsters chapter, was going to be
Mhm.
by the time that they finished Peacemaker. So it's interesting because at that point, Hector asking this, he would have already seen Superman. So
Right.
it's interesting to know that he doesn't know what the overarching story is by the end of Superman, but that James Gunn is convinced that you will know it by the end of, I think, the next thing to come out, Peacemaker.
Yeah, that seems correct.
It's curious because it's like I wonder if he means it'll be in the Peacemaker show or if like he's planning on making more announcements or some shit.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who knows?
I mean, it's very hard to know really what any of it means, but it does make me excited for the near future. I'm already like very excited for Superman, and I really like the first season of Peacemaker, so I'm
Yeah,
assuming
yeah, yeah.
season two will also be good.
I would hope so. We're less than a week away from Superman if we end up seeing it on Thursday evening.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think technically it comes out Friday, but yeah, if they do like a midnight release or whatever, we'll have to figure out what our
Yeah,
plans are to watch that is.
yeah, we'll discuss that off air, I
Yeah.
think.
But yes, and some people are gonna see it on the 8th for that Amazon thing. So
That's true, not me.
also not me. I assume there's a couple of our friends who I would not be surprised to find out that they got tickets for that
One in particular.
one in particular. Yeah.
Yep.
But that'd be Tuesday. So like people are gonna have seen this movie in the next couple days. Pretty exciting.
It's
Exciting
time. It's
times.
Superman. It's Superman season.
Super
We're
season.
starting.
But over in the MCU side of things, Sasha Baron Cohen has been revealed. He
Okay. I didn't see this at all. And you were like, "Did you see that Sasha Baron Cohen thing?" And I was like, "No." And then you were like, "Okay, I'll tell you on air." So
yeah.
this is a live reaction. And you might say he's playing this, and I'll say, "Who?" We'll see. Let's see how this goes.
I think if you've been online, then you will have known this character, but we'll see. So this is technically a spoiler for the end of Ironheart, I guess, because it's like a
Oh,
a post
is it?
credit thing.
it oh, is Ironheart over?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah, they released the first 3 episodes, and then it was like a week off, and then they did the episode 4, 5, and 6. So it's done, but I haven't watched it.
Oh, I didn't realize they just cranked that shit out. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they had a lot of confidence in it, which is weird because a lot of the reviews are pretty positive.
Yeah, I'm seeing people being sweet on it. So
Yeah, I don't know what the viewership on it is, but like at least the critical review seems pretty good. So I will be watching it at some point, but I just haven't
yeah,
yet.
I'll make my way to it.
But it's like a post credit type deal apparently. He reveals that he is playing Mephisto.
Oh, finally.
Yeah, that's
He's
right.
finally and he
Eric
shows up in Ironheart?
Eric Voss of New Rockstars can finally sleep easy, knowing now that after the 4,000 times he's been like, for sure it's Mephisto. Finally, he can stop saying that.
My God.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm Googling this.
Yeah, so he's playing. So for people who don't know, because frankly, unless you're in the shit like me and Skyler are, I don't know why you would even need to. Mephisto is the MCU's version of Satan, like literally the devil. And so Sasha Baron Cohen, best known as fucking Borat,
Hmm.
is now canonically the MCU's Satan.
He does do real acting every once in a while. And for the record, Borat's pretty hilarious.
My wife.
Yes, there you go. But he's done real dramatic and like theatrical acting and stuff. He can act. He can do things. He was originally going to be Freddie Mercury in that Bohemian Rhapsody movie, but he dropped out because I think because the band Queen is hard to work with.
I mean, that wouldn't be surprising.
He had a famous story. I think he was telling it on, oh God, Howard Stern, where he was like, yeah, so I was gonna do it, and then I was talking to Brian May of Queen, and Brian May was like, yeah, and the great part about this movie is we're gonna be able to see the band go on after Freddie, and he was like, what?
Oh, ooh, about that.
And the funniest thing about that is that's not even what the movie is, anyways.
No, it's
So
it's the story of Freddie Mercury. It's not.
yeah,
It's not even really a story about the band. It's a story about Freddie.
well, Brian May's a big silly head. That's what I have to say.
That's unfortunate. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't like any of the things I've seen Sacha Baron Cohen in. So this for me is like, oh, good. But if you're saying he's in like actual movies, I don't know, maybe.
He was in a movie a couple years ago that I doubt you saw either. Obviously, if you don't remember it, The Trial of the Chicago 7. He's pretty good in that.
Not only have I not seen it, I've never heard of that in my life.
It's about a real life thing that happened that we won't go into, anti-Vietnam type stuff.
Okay,
Oh, he's in Madagascar. He's that lemur. Remember the lemur,
sure.
the king guy?
Uh-huh.
He was in Les Mis. I didn't see Les
I
Mis.
heard zero good things about Les Mis. What I'm saying is it feels like a weird choice.
I can see how you'd think that, but
I also don't think he'll be an important character, which is
I
probably a
can
benefit.
I can kind of vibe with it. No, what are you talking about? He's gonna be the main bad guy of the post multiverse saga. It'll be called post multiverse colon more multiverse, and
More
there'll be
multi.
Mephisto as the bad guy.
I genuinely would be surprised if I see Sacha Baron Cohen's face in a movie. He feels like he's going to continue to exist in
Hmm.
the Disney Plus
Hmm.
shows that people don't watch.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because, like,
Where else could he show up?
I have no idea. You
I
would
mean,
have thought that he would
obviously,
show up in, like, something that was more magically leaning than Ironheart. Like, you would have expected him to have been, like, in
yeah.
Agatha or something.
I've got no idea how he ties into that. I mean, I haven't watched it, obviously, but
Yeah. Well, I do know the
um,
villain of it is, like, magically inclined, I guess. He's called, like, the Hood or some shit. And
right.
he, I guess, probably
Like,
got his powers from Mephisto. That'd be my guess.
okay.
I don't know. I remember
Okay.
in the trailer they're doing like Now You See Me ass like magic shit to heist a place.
Oh, cool.
So
They're making a third one of those. Did you know that?
yeah, yeah. I don't know who asked for it, but neat.
Oh, and you know what's crazy about that? You know who's in the Now You See Me movies?
Kristen Stewart.
No, I don't think so.
It was just a total guess.
Okay. Sasha Baron Cohen's ex-wife,
My ex-wife.
Isla Fisher.
Nope,
You don't know Isla Fisher?
not at all.
She was in Scooby-Doo, the live-action movie. Her character's name was Mary Jane, and she's also in lots of other things. But
Uh,
that's where I'm trying to play to the audience I've got.
okay. So anyway,
We can move on.
so
We can
anyway,
move on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fine.
no, I don't even know what like other MCU stuff is coming up other than like Doomsday and Secret Wars. To be honest with you, so I don't know where else he would show up
I'm
at all.
thinking that he's staying television. Oh, you know what? He's gonna voice Mephisto in like What If, and
Oh
then we'll never
yeah,
see him again.
I guess that would make sense. Well,
All
speaking
right,
of
great.
curious choices, so this is In the weirdest possible Nintendo decision, maybe to date, they have announced that they are going to raise the price of the Switch 1 in
Oh,
August. So
uh, hmm.
they're saying that it's just a price increase in Canada because of market conditions. It's weird that they are announcing it beforehand. That's not usually a thing that happens, and people are saying it might be a thing where like they have to announce that that's going to happen in Canada before they do it because of like some legal thing. And so maybe this price increase will be global, but they just have to say so in Canada for whatever reason. I don't know.
Hmm.
But it's very strange to be like, hey, this thing that's been out for what, 8, 9 years now is going to become more expensive after we've launched its sequel.
Yeah, let's try to engineer the reason for that. What would
I mean, it would, they're saying market conditions, so it's probably because the entire global economy is eating huge shit right now because our president's an
sure.
idiot. Realistically, that's probably at least what they're going to say the reason for it is. I mean, it may literally just be that they want people to stop buying the Switch 1 and start buying the Switch 2. Because it's because they're not increasing the price of Switch 2, at least not
Well,
yet. Although people are
yeah.
saying that they're probably going to do that in the near future too.
Yeah, so but are people going out like I can understand people saying, "Oh, Switch 2 is too expensive, so I won't get that." But then are those same people going to get a Switch 1 because they're like, "Well, I don't have one." That's
Truly, I
weird.
don't know.
I can see like a grandma grandpa being like, "Oh, our grandson, we want to get him the Nintendo. Oh, this is too expensive. Let's get the smaller one." I
Yeah.
can see that.
But I also feel like, because people always say that sort of thing where they're like, oh, the naming on this console is confusing. They wouldn't, like, the grandmas aren't going to know how to do the thing. But, like, I feel like they do. I feel
I
like
don't
we
think
never, I feel like we don't hear stories about that kind of thing anymore.
I don't think that's not what I was implying. I don't think
Yeah.
they'll be confused. I think they'll like I was saying like grandma is like, "Oh, little Jimmy's birthday is coming up. I'll get him the Nintendo Switch. What's the new Nintendo Switch?" And they're like, "Oh, it's this much." And they're like, "Oh, no. I'll take the cheaper one." So if they're trying to like curb that, I guess. But also if you still have Switches to sell, I don't I don't know why. I
Yeah, I
mean,
don't know why you would. The fact that the price has not dropped significantly
well,
on these consoles is insane.
that's Nintendo though.
Well, but that's even Nintendo usually drops their console prices after a while. But this entire generation, just nobody has dropped the prices on any of their consoles, and most of them have raised it, which is insane.
Is
But
that a byproduct of the fans saying that we'll buy anything anyways,
I
as we've
mean,
talked about frequently
I
on the
mean, it's
show?
definitely not helping the
Yeah,
situation. But I think that I think a lot of it is the combination of like the wombo combo of COVID backed immediately up by our president destroying global economy. I think that
mhm.
that is really screwing up a lot of things. I mean, we're going to be talking about that later when we get to the Xbox layoffs. But yeah, it's bad out here. It's bad in these streets. Another part
Wonderful.
of the Nintendo thing that came out though is that apparently people swapping, like moving their accounts onto Switch 2 have gotten their accounts shut down. Have you heard about this?
A little bit. Fill me in.
So the Switch 2 apparently has like updated like filtering for usernames and shit. And so people who
Right.
are bringing their names over that have things in it that passed whatever certification, whatever on Switch 1 are now being brought over to Switch 2 and are being told that they're inappropriate and being shut down in a way that Nintendo apparently cannot reverse. So the accounts are just gone. Like you would
That's
think it
cool.
would give people an option to change their name. Not so.
So so if your name is like Penis Wizard, but the penis is spelt with a 3 and an and a 1 instead of the E and I,
Yeah.
then they're gonna get you,
Yeah.
and they're
Switch
gonna
1
just
wouldn't get you,
delete
but
you.
Switch 2 now understands the clever wordplay of penis wizard and will get you. Sorry, go on.
I was just like, luckily, I didn't do that. I mean, I also don't have a Switch 2 yet. Probably
That's
won't for a
fair.
while, but I'm not Penis Wizard.
One of the
Sh-
names
sh-
that's been
Pour one
making
out for Penis Wizard though.
pour out one out for penis wizard. One of the names that's been making a sort of has been making the rounds as being affected by this was a guy whose username was Twink Link.
I did see that.
Yeah.
So that's
Uh,
just it. Just
Switch 1 didn't know what a twink was, and Switch 2 does.
no.
But also, like, Switch
Well,
2's not, like, or sorry, like, twink isn't a slur. It's not a bad thing.
I think Nintendo has just Nintendo's been trying to go to war with pornography for a while,
Sure.
a- and they're just mad that everyone wants to smooch Link on the lips.
But then
Both
they should stop putting him in that Gerudo costume, damn it.
they should stop making him so damn cute. Yeah, I agree.
If they don't want people to call him a twink, stop dressing him like a twink.
They don't if they don't want me to kiss him, they better stop doing that. It's their fault.
Dear God. I don't know. It's really funny, though, because it's like every time people try to get around one of the weird Nintendo decisions, they end up getting hit by a weirder Nintendo decision. Like last week we talked about, oh, you can't move your data over because sometimes it'll just corrupt and you'll lose all of it. So people are putting it on these MIG switches to bring them over. And then those are getting the console bricked. And it's like, oh, okay. So you can't move your account over because you might either lose your data or your name will get flagged and then your account will get shut down. And you can't use a workaround to get it because then your console will get shut down. Like there is a non-zero possibility of someone doing both of those things and getting their console and their account taken out gangland style by the Mario mob.
Just permabanned.
Yeah. The part that gets me is that Nintendo can't reverse it. That's crazy.
Oops.
Like, what do you mean? The Switch 2 goes, I know what a twink is now, and just throws that shit into the sun? Like, where does the data go? What happened to it?
It implies that they've set in like a way to ban you so permanent. It is like it's just banishment to another realm. Or it implies that they've backed Switch 2 with a hyper learning AI that is gone off the rails and got a mind of its own and has declared war on the Twinks.
God help the Splatoon community if the AI can figure out how to find penises in those little drawings that they do.
Oh,
It's over. It's Jover
oh,
for the Splatoon
oh,
community day one if they figure that one out.
oh. You're
Oof.
right.
It's the end of days, frankly, on that one. But hey, one piece of good news, maybe the only piece of like genuinely good news in the video game space this week is Helldivers 2 is going to release on Xbox on August 26th. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I like that.
This is I think this was a thing that people had been seeing coming for a while. The games industry has been moving to a place of like limiting exclusives and putting things on more platforms to make more money because everything is getting more expensive and there's layoffs across the board, and so all these companies are trying to find places to make more and more money, and this is the way that makes the most sense. And also, because this is a live service game, the bigger the player base, basically it ensures a longer life for the game
Longer
itself.
the lifespan, yeah.
So, because the game shuts down if you can't find a party for it, you know what I mean?
Just
So,
like Anthem.
just like Anthem, which I didn't put in the news rundown, but they finally shut down the Anthem servers. Which actually, that one's really stupid too, because I played Anthem a while ago,
Yeah.
and you can play that entire game single player. You just have to log into the server. But now, you can't. Like, they didn't
Yeah.
take the time to be like, oh, well, we can just make it a single player game, because it already is one.
I love that after January 12th, 2026, the game will not be playable.
You're just glad because that means that when we get to it on replay, we won't have to play it. And so you'll never have to touch it.
Sure.
You coward.
I agree with what you just said.
You know what? By the time we get there, I'll find a little community online that's pulled it up on a private server, and I'll make you play it.
Private server, illegal pirate Anthem.
Yeah.
No.
This is my
No.
Anthem. I'm gonna get your ass.
Luckily, I'll be dead by then.
I mean, we'll see. But yeah, this is part of like Hiroki Totoki. Also, he's the CFO of PlayStation right now. They had a big earnings call this week because quarters are starting to come down to an end, which is also why a lot of companies are laying people off.
Yeah.
And as part of it, he specifically said that they want to increase their margins by putting more games on other platforms. And he didn't specifically say like Xbox and Switch, but he did say other platforms, including PC, which means like obviously there are more than just PC. And
Yeah,
then with this happening, and with Death Stranding coming over to Xbox not too long ago, people are basically just like reading the writing on the wall, where it's like they're like very slowly inching their toes into this cold pool, but like they're gonna start putting more games on other stuff.
hmm
So that's kind of cool.
it's
Shout out
exciting.
to
I
Helldivers.
I love Helldivers too. I think, granted, the number of games I actually played from last year is limited, but I think that's my favorite game I played last year.
Sure.
I still play it semi frequently. So the more people get to play it, cool, dude.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Is Super Earth still under attack?
No, we got him. We stopped him.
We got him.
There was something else. There was like some other update I saw. They were like, there's gonna be a message from Super Earth High Command soon, and I didn't see what that was. So they're cooking something up.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the biggest story of the week, and a pretty unfortunate one.
We
Over
didn't
at
we just said like it wasn't last week, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago,
yeah,
because all this Nintendo stuff and PlayStation stuff. We were
yeah.
like, yeah, Xbox hasn't done anything bad
They
this
haven't done
year.
anything bad yet. Yeah,
Well, we got there.
yeah. I mean, we knew it was coming for sure. Like, not
Yeah,
maybe specifically layoffs, but like we knew they were going to do something stupid because all these
yeah.
companies can't help themselves but to fuck up.
Only a matter of
So
time.
Microsoft as a whole has laid off 9,000 people. A small portion of that did
Whew.
come from Xbox. The majority of it seems to have come from other sort of like management suites. A lot of the people were from like the Microsoft stores themselves, was apparently the bulk of it, which is
Mm,
weird. Um, and people are the rumor is, it's unsubstantiated at this point, which is another thing that we're gonna have to get into in this conversation. But the rumor is at this point that they are cutting costs for a multitude of reasons. Number one is that they want to reinvest more money into AI, which is a thing that they've been pushing. And then another part of it is the same. I mean, the same reason that everybody else is laying off people is we're looking at another 3.5 years of the most uncertain economic times that America has ever seen, uh, with our president increasing tariffs and then removing tariffs and doing all this. And so apparently between those two things, they're like, the one thing we can do to like guarantee that we don't lose money is to spend less money. And the number one way to do that is to fire people, because corporations don't care about individuals. They care about their
nope.
bottom line, which is extra
We're
stupid
numbers.
because yeah, well, I mean, you're about to say it, but go on.
We're numbers on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, we are numbers on a spreadsheet. It's especially stupid because they as a whole, and Xbox in particular, have posted like ridiculously high numbers this year. Like they've done way better this year than they even expected for Xbox to do. And so these layoffs are coming at a time where it's like, okay, so you made more money than ever. The whole thing is doing well. The public opinion around Xbox was at like a really high, and now you're laying off these people, and all the people at the at the IGNs and the Polygons and stuff are like going in super fucking hard on like, okay, it's time to beat the hell out of Xbox, which is fair. It is weird because there has been this weird like misinformation aspect of it where like, and I feel like this doesn't happen with most layoffs, but this one, I guess because it was so big, like maybe it had some confusion to it. But there was a lot of things where it would be like, oh, they laid off 50% of this studio. And then it would be like, no, 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 they laid off 50% of the QA department of that studio. Or it'd be like,
Mm,
oh, this studio was hit super hard. And it'd be like, oh, wait, no, they laid off 5 people from that studio. That was, I think, Raven Software was that one. Or, and it was all these things where it was like, this game is canceled. Oh, wait, no, it's not. This game was in development and now it's canceled. Oh, it was actually never in development. And it's like this whole like back and forth of like, we don't really know what the truth of all of it is at this point, because
right.
people are taking the opportunity to like really console war about it in a way that is kind of gross, where
Yeah.
like these people get laid off and then people are like, oh, well, Xbox
They
is trash, I can't believe that they would do this. And it's
they
like, well, first of all, these layoffs are happening everywhere. Like every single major video game publication has had layoffs in the last year and a half.
deciding to weaponize somebody really losing their job so
Yeah.
that you can say my machine is better than your machine.
Yeah, because that helps them. When the guy who made Halo gets laid off, it makes him feel better to know that you bought a PlayStation. That's gonna help
Yeah.
him make his life better for sure. That's gonna help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so there's all this like crazy, just like back and forth, and like this is terrible. Like there is no sugar. Like you cut 9,000 people because of a prospective loss during a time when you made more money than ever. Like it's disgusting. And I feel like this is always the case with all of these
Yeah.
companies, where it's like record
Yes.
profits, layoffs, like
They
back to
will
back all the
always
time.
do that. Absolutely.
And it's absolute bullshit. Just to get the information that we do know for sure is true out there before we start like really talking about it. We know that there are 3 projects that were canceled. One was apparently ZeniMax Online, the team that makes ESO, Elder Scrolls
Mm-hmm.
Online. They
Mm-hmm.
were also working on a side project that was going to be like a looter shooter type deal. That got canceled. Rare was working on a game called Everwild, which we did hear about like years ago, and we had heard a lot of like really bad things about. Like they don't know what this game is. Like as early as the beginning of this year, that got canceled. Which honestly, I
Sure.
think that one's kind of fair. And then probably the most damning one, I think, is that they were working on a reboot of Perfect Dark, which is now also canceled, and the studio that was making it is shut down.
Damn.
Well, that one's kind of complicated too, because they made the Initiative, which is the name of the studio, to make Perfect Dark, and then they a couple years back shifted production of it to Crystal Dynamics, the formerly Square Enix studio that's now owned by
Yeah.
Embracer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, well, what isn't the Initiative working on? And people were like, oh, they're still kind of helping with it, and now it's shut down. So it's like, huh? What did happen
Uh,
with that studio? Apparently, nothing good. It's also another weird one. Like if you remember when we talked about the EA layoffs a while ago, it's another weird one where like they're laying off a ton of people in these areas and then hiring a ton of people in these other areas. Like this team lost 5 people, but then like you can see there's job postings for like 50 people over at a different studio, and it's like you couldn't have just like moved those people or like let them work from home or like whatever. Like I
yeah.
don't understand any of this part. It's very strange. But yes, so Microsoft is in hot water right now for having laid off these people, and I think it's completely justified and fair, and I think they deserve all the smoke that they're going to get for it.
Well, good job, Microsoft. You made it halfway through the year without getting in one of these big fucking stories.
Yeah,
And now you're just as dirty as the rest of them.
just as dirty as the
Congratulations.
rest of them. It really does seem to be in the video game space. You can either it's like that triangle, and it's like at the points you would put shareholders, customers, employees, and you can only please 2 of them, and it's
Yeah.
because like Microsoft right now is pleasing, I guess, shareholders and customers because they're putting out a ton of games and like their prices are still fair. So like there's that,
True.
and then Nintendo is like shareholders and customers, or shareholders and employees because they haven't laid off basically anybody. Although they do
Hmm.
this weird thing. I don't know if you've heard about this. Nintendo and a lot of Japanese companies do this thing where instead of doing layoffs because it's so hard to lay people off
The
in
the
Japan.
CEO, the head guy, will take a massive cut.
No, no. See, that would be nice. No, Nintendo doesn't do that anymore. They specifically said we're not a kind of company that does that.
Oh.
Um, no, they'll take the people who they want to lay off and they'll just stick them in a room and give them nothing to do for months and months and months until they quit.
You see, I have heard that, and let me tell you something. That wouldn't work on me.
Well, that's because you don't have the work ethic of a Japanese businessman.
I would sit there and I would take my little paycheck and I would go live in my 1 room apartment. But I would take that paycheck and do nothing in that room. You better believe.
I feel like out of spite, I would do the same thing at least for a really long time. Unless I could like find a real job while I was doing, like I would be applying for other jobs while I was doing it, but I would be pretty picky about which ones I was accepting because it's like, oh, I can get a paycheck and not do anything. All right, well, eat my ass then.
I would
But
work at Nintendo for 50 years doing nothing in that room.
but yeah, so Nintendo does that, and so they're good to their. We don't know how many people have been affected by that, although we do know at least a couple that have like like bigger name ones that have disappeared, where that seems to be the case. But so they seem like they're doing well with their shareholders and with their customers. PlayStation is kind of in a weird place right now, where they're definitely not making the shareholders happy, and they're also not making the customers happy. But they haven't done tons of layoffs, so I guess they're still making the employees happy. So that's nice.
Yeah.
It's just a shit show out here, and it's a lot of it does have to do with the political landscape. I know that that's not a fun thing to talk about, but that is sort of the reality of the situation. Is that we also got the report, and the report came out before the Microsoft layoffs were announced, so it's unclear if they were part of it. But we found out that in June, America lost 33,000 jobs in the private sector.
Nice.
Um, And that's not including all the federal job losses, which have been monumental.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of Trump's second term, they've cut apparently as many as 70,000 federal jobs. And of course, as soon as the number came out and they were like, oh, it's the first time that a month has lost jobs in like multiple years, uh, the Republican Party came out and they're like, oh, but you're forgetting about all the people that we hired for the federal government, even though we literally like last week just heard that they were down 70,000 people. And they're like, if you account for that, then we're actually up 130,000 jobs. And everyone went, can you prove that? And they said, no.
No, we can't prove anything.
No, why would you ask us for facts or data or information? What are you, a fucking communist? So, so basically, it's rough. One of my friends actually, her company just also did a round of layoffs that she was telling me about when we were talking about this one. It is a bad time to be employed at a major corporation, and it's a worse time to not be employed. So
It's a bad time to be alive.
it's just a really bad time. Like the economics are eating shit. I mean,
great.
to not get into the whole political situation, but like everything related to our politics in America right now are dog shit. Like so bad.
Hey, you know what though?
Yeah.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July. Nothing makes me feel more American than watching Chinese explosives go off while I eat a German hamburger in a shopping center built by Europeans.
Damn.
Not a single thing would make me feel more proud to be an American. Jesus Christ. It's rough and it's bad. I was curious about what your take specifically. I don't know if you even saw the trailers for it. There was like one or two that came out for this Perfect Dark reboot. We just played Perfect Dark for the first time this year.
We did.
And I was pretty positive on it. I think you were like a little bit lower, but you're still happy with it.
Oh yeah, I got a passing grade from me.
Yeah.
I would say I think it's still our highest rated game of the year 2000. I think.
I mean, it's still Perfect Dark 1 was like, I think is like one of, I forget the number exactly. It was like one of the top 3 highest rated. No, it was the number 1 rated first person shooter on Metacritic of all time. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to double check that, but it's up there. It's like either that or like top 3.
Yeah, no. So yeah, we liked it, and I don't think I did see a trailer, but you say it's a reboot. Like we're doing a new one.
Yes. Well, it was probably going to be like one of those legacy sequel type deals. Like you're still playing as Joanna Dark, but it looks like it's a like basically entirely new thing where kind of like what we saw was like in Egypt or something. I don't know.
Like the equivalent of the when they rebooted Lara Croft kind of thing. Kind of similar.
Yes, but in this one they did make her look older, so it's possible that it was still going to be a sequel, but just like so far departed that it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Is Elvis going to come back?
God, I would hope so, but now no. I mean, the game doesn't exist, so no. We never saw him in the trailer.
They were going to Egypt. The aliens built the pyramids.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
as we know, history would dictate.
I would have been down for it. I would have played it. Not now, though. I guess.
Yeah, it's really disappointing. I think the thing that has been the most disappointing for me about the whole situation, well, I guess no. The first thing that's the most disappointing is the people losing their jobs. That's always the worst. The thing that I am secondly most disappointed about is the response that the like internet has had about it, where like major reporters who like I really respect are coming out and being like, they're just like really doubling down on like, well, fuck this studio, fuck these people, like all of this stuff. And it's like, okay, first of all, Xbox is a subsidiary of Microsoft. They don't really get a lot of say over what their firings are. So like attacking the head of Xbox, attacking Phil Spencer or whatever, like you're targeting the wrong person. I understand that the buck stops with him to a certain extent, but also like you're dealing at the wrong guy. And then it's also like using like people who are like big names at like IGN and Polygon are like using the opportunity to console war. And I'm like, you're one of the people that we're supposed to look at during these situations and be like your job in this situation is to help people report the truth and then be like, maybe help them find new jobs. Your job is not to be like, oh, Xbox just doesn't care about making video games anymore. And it's like, they put out about 10 games this year and are about to put out 4 more. Like in some ways, even though it doesn't feel like it right now, Xbox is kind of holding up the games industry in terms of releasing video games. So it's like, this sucks and there's no sugarcoating it, but I also don't understand why it immediately becomes this thing of like, and I want this company to fail.
Yeah, well,
like
it's because
if it fails, then everybody else loses their job too. They're like one of the biggest what would you call it? The people who have the most employees in the video game space, singular entity,
Yeah.
in the entirety of the games industry. Like, you can't wish for Microsoft to fail if you're anti layoffs, because the more that if they start failing, these layoffs are going to come like crazy. I'm never wishing for
It's
anybody to fail in the games industry because I
like
like video games.
everything is politics now. Like literally everything, entertainment, any form of business, it's all there's this side and there's this side, and if you support that side, then you're stupid. And maybe one day you'll see the light and come to my side. And then, that
Yeah.
side gets mass layoffs and these people lose their jobs and their livelihoods. And then it's like, yes, points for us.
Points for me.
Points for
Wow.
me because I bought this video game machine.
Right. In a time
You're
when which box you buy is becoming less and less important.
literally it's I will never see it
It's
as
so
not the
weird.
most pathetic behavior of all time by grown
Like,
adults.
because like we talked about, the multiple rounds of layoffs that Bungie has had, and like PlayStation closing a couple of studios, and our response wasn't like, because I do play mostly on my Xbox. My response wasn't like, oh hell yeah, good thing I bought an Xbox. Like, no, that wasn't that's not how I
No.
felt about it. In fact, I'm like really scared that Bungie's going to get shut down, because I historically have quite liked Bungie.
Yeah,
uh
I think when, that kind of stuff came out, the best thing we had to say was like, I didn't like Destiny. I don't remember. You'd have to check the logs. Everything we say is recorded.
it wasn't
But
even that necessarily, because I think, at least on the podcast, the most that we were talking about at the time was like them having stolen art,
oh
and
yeah,
so we were kind of like, okay, well, you shouldn't have done that,
yeah,
because you shouldn't
basically.
have done that. But still, I don't know. It's always so disappointing to me to see like genuine bad news followed by people dancing on the graves of like people who had no
Yeah.
say in it whatsoever. You know what I
If you're
mean?
if you're if video games are, not to sound elitist or up my own ass, but video
Sure.
games are an art. They're an art form.
Right.
Just like movies are, just like, actual paintings are, just like music is. If you like the arts, you support the artists. It's as simple as that.
Hmm.
You don't support the big corpo because I don't know, you went to a convention, you got a hat with a PlayStation logo on it. Are you fucking stupid?
Right. Also, like,
Support the artists, the people who make the games. Don't
yeah,
don't celebrate because they lost their jobs.
it's so
Pisses
weird
me
to
off.
me. It's been this like constant thing this year of like, oh, Nintendo is fucking us, but we're gonna support them anyway. Uh, oh, it's just people like doing all of this terrible stuff of like teaching these corporations the wrong message of like, okay, well, you're not voting with your wallet. You're still buying the thing from the corporation that doesn't care who you are or what you are, as long as you keep paying money. And
Mhm.
then you're like bullying developers online because their corporate overlord told them that they had to fire 10 people. And it's like, you should not be going like, because, and this is the thing that we saw, is people are going to the head of Rare and they're like talking shit to him because they had to lay off some people when the Everwild game got canceled. And it's like, it wasn't his say, first of all. Like, guarantee he didn't want to lay those people off. Why are you yelling at him? I don't get it. Like, oh, you like Rare games? Okay, well then support Rare. Like, I don't know.
Seriously.
There's just so much of it where like I kind of have mixed emotions about it too, because it's like on some cases it's like with the Nintendo thing, it's like I wish people would vote with their wallet a little bit more there, so that they would make choices about like how to produce this product.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm also saying that I do want them to still support the developers, but I don't know. Is there a way to support the developers without supporting the corporation? Is that a thing that is possible to do?
Uh, not really
Yeah,
anymore,
I
seemingly.
guess that's where I'm at, because I don't know what the answer to that is. But it's upsetting.
No.
Is I don't know what to say about it really, and
I mean, I guess after the fact, all these people in the game space that lose their jobs, if they try to go independent or crowdsource something, which is so difficult to do
mhm,
if you support them that way. But again, that's after they've lost their jobs already. So I
right.
don't I don't know. It's tough. It's
I
tough
don't
out
know
there.
what the I don't know what the answer is. It's just a bad time.
It's just a really bad time. You know, we're seeing these layoffs. I've been reporting on these layoffs for like 2 years on
Mhm.
my personal YouTube channel that I don't really put anything out on anymore, as well as on like a bunch of different podcasts that I've guested on and like stuff like that. Like we've been talking about just like constant layoffs across the entire board in the video game space for like I think at least 2 years at this point. It's like every week there's some studio that had to lay some people off or a smaller studio that closed. It's just constant. It is constant. I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know if there's anything I can do about it, but
Nope.
it's grim. It's grim, and I do hate it. And I think it's also getting to a point where I hate. Not only do I hate reading about it, but I hate reading people's reactions to it to an extent where it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know. I've already said it so many times. I'm just going in circles at this point. But like the console like fanboy mentality of like, ah, good, PlayStation laid people off. Ah, good, the Nintendo thing is happening. Like
The way we
these companies
conversate
don't give a
about
shit who
stuff,
you are. They don't. They
the
don't care what
the
your
way
opinion is.
the way we have conversations about stuff is broken. It's
Yeah.
just there's no everyone has to, especially in like, you know, the very short format of just send out a tweet or send out, some post.
Yeah.
Just be like, well, I gotta get my point across, and I have to look smart and funny and snarky, and most importantly, I have to look correct.
Right.
So you just put this thing of like, oh, I said Xbox sucked, haha. Well, that's good. I'm glad you added to the conversation.
Good. Happy for you. Ugh. I don't know. The only other thing I have to add here is that we also have further reports that we are expecting to see a lot of other layoffs in the game space over the next couple of months. As
That
the
didn't even need to be said.
It didn't need to be said, but
You could feel
for
it.
the like fiscal year is coming to an end over the next, depending on how people break down the quarters, over the next like 3 to 6 months, and so
Yeah.
people are expecting a lot of layoffs as those
So
continue to come.
so
So
if you follow those layoffs, just keep in mind how many times they'll lay off thousands of people and then report their record high profits.
right.
Just make a little check mark every time that happens.
Yeah,
And
and that's not even exclusive to the video game space. We've seen
it's
that.
anything.
It's
It's
everywhere.
anything.
Yeah,
WWE does it twice a year.
twice a year. It's crazy. It's genuinely crazy. That's another thing too, because all of the like, it's not just like console. I guess I see the console wars part of it more because my entire algorithm is built around video games at this point.
Yep.
But like, it is this weird. People just get like so attached to brands that like it becomes part of their identity. Where they'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm Apple, I'm PlayStation, I'm Tesla, I'm WWE, I'm Marvel, right?
I don't understand it.
And then they will root against anything that is not that because I guess they don't like having multiple options on things. Like Superman can't be good because I want Fantastic Four to be good, even though James Gunn and why can't I think of his name? Hat guy. Fuck.
Kevin Feige.
Feige have both come out and been like, no, we would love it if both of these movies were successful because those they are personal friends. So like, of course they want both movies to be successful, and also like a rising tide raises all superheroes, right?
I implore everybody. This is my public service statement to anyone listening. Please, please get into sports because if you watch sports, you're a fan. It doesn't matter which sport. It doesn't matter which sport. You
It could
can
be
watch
anything.
anything. You could watch
Darts.
football. You could watch baseball. You could watch darts. You could watch soccer. European football. You could watch tennis. You could watch golf. You could watch competitive eating, hot dog, Joey Chestnut. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You can root for someone, and there you're allowed to be tribal. You're allowed to be an asshole.
Exactly.
You're allowed to. I mean, don't go down the streets like attacking other fans, like physically, but you're the sports thing. You could be pretty goddamn toxic before you cross a line over there. Don't bring that into business.
It's true. I
or,
think
or video games.
that's totally fair. I actually got maybe I shouldn't be spreading this onto our channel. I actually got into like a pretty loud like vocal fight on a different podcast I was hosting on about that exact thing where someone was talking about Xbox like that. It was like they were on the fucking team, like they were on the shareholders meetings, you know what I mean? And I was like, like they were talking about it like it was a sports game, and I was like, it's not a sports competition. It's not that kind of competition. Like
Right.
for Xbox to succeed, PlayStation doesn't have to lose. There's not a Super Bowl that only one of them can win. All of these companies can be successful at the same time. Like
Yeah.
that is directly the opposite as the sports. And even if you're rooting for a specific football team, the company of that football team is part of the NFL. Like they are like basically subsidiaries of one larger company for the most part. I mean, obviously I know that they're like separately owned entities, but like, you know what I mean? Like they are all sort of working out of the same pot to an extent. So you rooting for the Chiefs or whatever, it is okay for you to be like, and I hate the Philadelphia Eagles, because that rivalry is built into it, because the two people are literally going up against each other. There's not a video game that comes out where it's like, oh, who's going to win, Master Chief or Mario? You know, like who's going to take home the title? Like, you know what I mean?
Like there is no title.
Like that's not a thing in video games. They're just a corporation making products that you may or may not enjoy. It's not a competition in that way. And yet people always do it. And it's, you know, again, it's with all of these brands where they'll be like, oh my God, I hate DC. I just want Marvel to be successful. And they're like, and you know, now there's the Snyder offshoot within the DC thing where like they also want DC to fail because now it's a different DC than the one that they want. And it's just like, brother, they are not sports teams. This is not what that argument is. Like, I don't understand how you got into this mindset of like, I'm going to put on an Xbox jersey and I'm going to go to war in the stands and like come up with chants and shit. That's not what this is. That's not what this is.
Just start watching basketball and yell at the TV when the players are doing bad. I promise your life will get better. I promise you get all that venom out in a healthier way.
I also feel like
whatever this bullshit is.
I also feel like the sports community tolerates that better, where it's like you can talk shit about your friend's sporting team and it's like fine. Like people understand that as like a joke and a thing that isn't serious.
Yeah.
Whereas in all of these like brand things, it always becomes this weird like tribal like you insulted somebody's fucking family thing. And it's crazy. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There are some sports fans out there that are absolutely terrible.
Right, and they mostly back the Eagles.
Hey now. No, I was you know, on the fantasy sports app that we use, you can like look each player when you check their stats, they have like little chats that you can see, and it's mostly like you go in there and see people like, oh, King went off, or you know, the player didn't do well, so they're all bitching and moaning.
Right.
And sometimes if the player didn't do well and they happen to be not white, my God.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Horrible things are being said in there. And it's just like, well, who why these people are out there. So become a sports fan, but not one of the racist sports fans. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. It's a rough time. Everyone stay safe out there. If you know somebody who's been affected by layoffs in the last couple of years or whatever, do your best to help them out, and remember that rooting for their competition is not part of helping them out. I don't know. This is a weird one to transition out of, but guys, thank you for watching this late.
I kind of wish we had like an extra thing this week.
Like one extra.
We haven't done anything because
yeah. Well,
we don't though. And those fireworks are starting.
Fireworks are starting, everybody. Anyway, stay safe out there. We love you all very much. Subscribe to the channel, share it around. If you like us or hate our competitors, I guess, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, get that engagement up. We're looking to grow as fast as we can. We're on the 100 creep.
Are we really?
I mean, kind of. We're at like 30 something, so.
Oh, yeah, technically we're on the road.
We're on the creep to 100, and we would like all the support and love that you guys can give us, and hopefully we can give that back to you. But until next time, everybody, we'll see you around.
The game's just starting, the world's so bright. Jump right in, everything feels right. Let's play, take a trip.